Hey guys, I hope all is well. Thank you for joining me for this Truth Talk episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about YNW Melly and his case. Let's get right into it. YNW Melly has been back in the headlines as his trial started just a few days back on June 12th. 2 years ago, Melly was arrested back in February 2019 and was being charged with taking out his two close friends, YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser. The police accused Melly of taking out his two best friends while on a drive back home from a studio session. The police believe that during this drive, Melly was in the back passenger side of the vehicle when at some point he pulled out his piece, aimed it at his two best friends, taking them both out from the inside of the car. They then believe Melly and his other friend YNW Borton tried to stage the whole thing to make it look like a drive-by. Borton dropped off Melly and proceeded to drive to the nearest hospital with his two friends gone in the car. He arrived at the hospital telling the staff a story about his two close friends being victims of a drive-by. The police, finding holes in his story, quickly investigated Borton's claims and realized there was no way this was a drive-by. This is when they started piecing the story together and found evidence that suggested the person who took these two victims out were inside the same car they were in. The police then found even more evidence suggesting Melly might have been the very person in that car that night. For the longest, people online have wondered what the motive was for such a heinous crime. Why would Melly take out his own two close friends? If you saw his music video for his hit song, Murder on My Mind, then you should already know there's way more to this story. The song that took Melly to superstardom was this hit song that only got bigger after his arrest. In this song, Melly sings an entire song about taking out a close friend of his. The imagery for his music video was extremely dark, as Melly could be seen in the video looking demonic inside of a jail cell. There's a scene in the video where they show the Masonic all-seeing eye on the wall behind them. We can also see candles lit up, clearly pointing to a ritual. In this scene, they show Melly in a straitjacket while chickens can be seen hanging on strings, with candles again lit in the background. In this scene, we see Melly and the serpent, all pointing to Melly selling his soul. This music video is full of open witchcraft. It's obvious this video was foreshadowing what Melly was soon to do to his own close friends. I believe Melly made the ultimate sacrifice in order to have the world. It is not a coincidence that in this music video, Melly would be selling his soul, all while he raps about taking his close friends out. Then he would go on to be a huge star after being arrested, being accused of taking out his two close friends. Interestingly enough, at the beginning of the music video, he shows two kids wearing white being cuffed away. This represented two innocent souls being offered. I'm not saying Melly's friends were innocent, but they were two unexpected souls that were taken out by their own friend. In my opinion, Melly took out his two friends to have the world. He offered these souls in a deal with the serpent. In return, he became a rap star. Recently, after the case started, the father of YNW Juvie, one of the victims, did an interview where he spoke about what he thinks truly happened to his son. According to him, he feels that Melly is 100% guilty.
You believed from the very beginning that Melly was responsible for your son's death and the death of Anthony.
From the day one, I believe that Melly was responsible for my son's death on October 26th when I first heard the story, because his explanation, when I finally talked to him in Cortland on a FaceTime, their response and how they was reacting, they showed no remorse. They didn't act like they was grieved. They lost a best friend or nothing. They was, in my opinion, they was in the best spirits. They never came to town, never came to my son's funeral, never came to Sack's funeral. And these are your best friends. He passed straight through the county of Indian River, went to Brevard and did a music video, but he couldn't even stop and pay his condolences to his best friend's mom. He even got Jana tatted on his neck. That's why his defense attorney got him wearing turtlenecks and shirts to hide his neck. He got the Jana tatted on his neck. That's Sack's mom's name. He got Chris' name and Sack's name. And this guy, that guy is just... I have no words for that guy.
What was it in particular that said on that FaceTime that made you think that Melly was responsible?
Nothing was said. Actually, it was like demeanor. It was like the body language, really. Like I was just reading, and as I'm telling them and asking them questions, I got emotional. I started crying. They wasn't reacting to. They act like they didn't have loss at all. That's how I took it. And then when I was talking to them, I said in the back of my mind that something's not right. Something's not right.
Did tell you anything about what they claimed happened with the drive-by they claim happened?
No, They had absolutely no explanation. We had to figure it out just like the police.
He states that since the situation happened, Melly hasn't been showing any grief. He claims that Melly didn't even show up to the funeral and that he believes he was responsible from the beginning after speaking to him on FaceTime. He states their excuse for what happened made zero sense to him and made them look guilty. He also said that they looked like they were in their best spirits, even after they just lost two close friends. This is interesting, knowing that Melly was in his best spirits right after his two close friends passed. You can't deny this is highly suspicious. Add this with this footage of Melly talking to another Masonic puppet, Trippy Red, about having to go to a funeral while smiling and laughing.
On the way to the damn funeral. No,
that's man.
right.
You know, slack. Let me see them glasses, big bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I had to call you big bro today. This day.
As you saw for yourself, Melly appears to be excited to go to a funeral that allegedly he never actually went to, according to Juvy's dad. YNW Juvy's dad said something else that I found extremely interesting when it comes to why he thinks Melly took his son out. According to him, he believes Melly took out his two best friends so he wouldn't have to split an upcoming brand deal he had coming up. He states that this deal was worth $500,000 and that Melly didn't want to have to split the deal with his two friends. The YNW brand was co-started by all three of them. He also mentions that Melly had some sort of tension with one of the victims, claiming they had got into an altercation where Melly was embarrassed by Sack Chaser in front of his girl when a fight broke out between the two. More importantly, further in the interview, he also mentions that he believes YNW Melly's manager, 100K Track, was the one who got into Melly's ear and convinced him to do something to his friends.
Chris, why do you think that this happened? Why do you think, Melly did this? Because, Melly is on trial. The state has to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed these crimes. But why do you think this happened?
I think the story about the $200,000 with Anthony was a true story. It's not reported, but Chris told me the same story, and also it was a $500,000 play. And Melly was going to get $200,000, Sack was going to get $200,000, Chris was going to get $100,000. And as I'm hearing it from Chris, it was going to sell the YNW brand, not a record deal or nothing like that. It was like for the brand itself. By them being founding members, they would get a piece of the pie. So I don't think Melly did it on his own. I think that manager guy got in his ear. And did a little divide and conquer. Because if it was up to Sack, it would never be 100K management.
They were going to sell the YNW name for licensing or sell products? Or what do you mean they were going to sell the name?
For marketing, licensing, stuff like that. I think they want to go up on the big umbrella just to push them, push the brand more global. That's what I'm thinking.
And so you think that Melly wanted a bigger cut of that then?
I think Melly didn't want to get guys nothing. He wanted to be the only one to shine. And then they came to town next day and gave the mothers $15,000, the other mother $10,000. So I thought to myself, if Sack was going to get $200,000, Chris was getting $100,000. We could pay these people $25,000, keep $275,000. That's how I saw it. It just nothing added up. Melly still to this day, and for me to hear all them boys his best friend is an insult. That is an insult.
Was there any sign of bad blood for your sons? Was there any tension there that you knew of?
Not with Juvie, not with Chris. You heard things about him and Anthony getting into altercations about disputes about money over certain situations, and they got in a fight prior to that, and they said, the story that they said Sack beat him up and knocked his goals out in front of his girlfriend. 2 days later, I think that's when the incident happened.
As you heard for yourself, Juvie's father claims that he believes 100K Track got in the ear of Melly, telling him to get rid of his boys. To me, this has to be the most important piece of information. If this is true, it further proves that something is up with 100K Track. If you saw this video I made on 100K Track, then you should know that there's an ongoing theory claiming he's an undercover agent working for some sort of law enforcement. People believe this because all of the artists he signs end up in prison. People also feel like he's somehow tied to what happened to King Von. Dispatch audio was released from the night King Von was taken out, and an officer can be heard responding to the scene, referring to 100K Track by his government name and claiming that he's an officer. If you want the full breakdown of that story, check out this video after this one. The fact that Juvie's dad think this is what happened is very revealing. It makes me look at all of this very differently. It could be possible 100K Track is the mastermind behind all of this, but besides Juvie's father stating this, we have nothing proving it. I would say it is very suspicious that all of 100K's big artists seem to have terrible luck, while he remains on the outside living life, collecting big money, and signing more artists. It's interesting that it was reported that 100K Track even turned in phone evidence for the Melly case to the police when he was requested to do so. Many online believe that 100K Track was cooperating with the authorities to make sure Melly gets found guilty. Track responded to this, claiming that he in fact gave Melly's phone in for evidence, but stated it didn't have anything incriminating in it. Something else that caught my attention was something Melly was doing during the trial. Video of the Melly trial shows Melly appearing to be saying some sort of prayer. Then he raises his hands up to his mouth, kisses his hands, and then blows a kiss. This was honestly strange, and I've never seen anyone doing anything like this. It's obvious Melly is an occultist who took the oath. I previously thought he ended up in this situation because he wanted to turn his back on the industry, but I no longer believe that. I honestly think his manager might have something to do with all of this. All of 100K's Track's successful artists end up in a box. 100K manages to keep a portion of their music and use them to promote his own music. You see, 100K Track is not only a manager, but he's also an artist, and he tends to use his big artists to promote his own music. It wouldn't be far-fetched if he was somehow the mastermind, especially if you saw my first video. His manager is definitely hiding something from the world. Melly has proven he chose his side, and he has proven he traded his close friends to have the world. I believe Melly is guilty of these crimes, as so many people do as well. If for some reason he ends up beating this, we know exactly why. This Melly case is a perfect example of just how evil the music industry truly is. The music industry made a man take out his own two best friends to have it all. He was willing to meet a burning end just to live out his rapper dreams. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I just want to give a special shout out to the Truth Movement members. I truly appreciate every single one of you. If you'd like to further support the channel, join the Truth Movement, or you can join me on Patreon where I drop exclusive videos monthly. The link would be in the description. Another way you can further support the channel is by checking out the Truth store and seeing if you find anything you like. Every purchase you make goes directly to helping the channel and furthering Truth Records. Also, please leave a comment on your thoughts below and on any future topics you would like to see me cover on my channel. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified when I drop new videos. If you like this video, please leave a like as it helps other people find these videos. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram and follow me there for more truth. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.